Okay, we're starting the Mishnah. Mishnah 9 Daled. Okay. Ayin Daled. Kol asura lova b'kohol. Those who are not permitted to marry into the Jewish community, whether it's a mamzer or other, a Mitzri, Adomi, Ammoni, Moabi, whatever is delineated in the Mishnah, all the various classifications of illegitimacy that they're not permitted to marry into the kol. Mutar lo bozeh bozeh. A mamzer is permitted to marry a givoni. An Ammoni, what's the reason? Because there's lo yova b'kal Hashem. Any of these people, but they themselves are not kal Hashem, although they're Jews, because they converted to be Jewish, but kal Hashem, they're not kal Hashem. Therefore, they're permitted, because when they intermarry, one is not marrying into the kal Hashem, because they're not kal Hashem. Rabbi Yehuda Oser. Rabbi Yehuda says no. They're not permitted, which the Gemara is going to discuss. Because we'll see in a moment, if Rabbi Yehuda is going back on, if Kol Asur Lova B'Kol is speaking about ordinary illegitimacy, like a mom's marrying a Givoni or Moavi, this, so Rabbi Yehuda Oser means they're not permitted to marry in one another. So, but what's the Rabbi Lezer Omer? Here, if you have a definite mamzer, not a question, not a Sofik mamzer, is permitted to marry a Vade Givoni, or Moabi, or Ammonite, whatever it is. Mutter. Vadon Bisveikon, what about if you have a definite mamzer? Is that person permitted to marry a mamzer? That's a question. It's a Sofik. Usveikim Vadoin. The man is a Sofik, he's permitted to marry a Vade Mamzeris. Usveikim Bisveikon. What about if they're both questionable? Is a Sofik Mamzeris permitted to marry a Sofik Mamzer? Osir. Rabbi Lezer is not permitted. Why is it not permitted? Because of the chance. Maybe a valid Jew, a legitimate Jew. So if that's the case, you can't take the chance. It's not permitted. Also, no, for the same reason. For the same as the reason why the Suffolk can't marry a Suffolk, so definitely a Suffolk can't marry a Vadim. Marries a Ger. Okay? Convert's not a problem. But a Suffolk Mamzer, we talk about the person, the parentage is definitely Kal Hashem. So if factually it's not of an adulterous union, he's a kosher Jew. A Ger is not part of Kal Hashem, so it's not a problem. Wait, the Gemara is going to ask a question. It seems to be this Mishnah starts off, it's redundant. The previous... That the Gemara asked the question. The Gemara asked that question. The Gemara asked this question. We'll see. No. There's a woman, she's a married woman, you're not sure who impregnated her. Eluhen Asveikos. What is a suffix? Shtuki. Right? You find the child on a doorstep. You're not aware. No, shtuki is where you know the mother, but you don't know who the father was. The mother silences the child. Asufi means he was gathered in. You found him on a doorstep. We discussed this earlier. I mean, who abandons a child? Mother abandons, that means there's a problem. Evidently, it's because she wants to really discard the child, even if it means putting the child in life in jeopardy. Right? We differentiated earlier. The Gemara had said, if you find a child dressed well or taken care of, so there we say the abandonment is because of what? Of impoverishment. right? You find the child in a location where it's clear the mother wanted the child to be found, not in a location like on the side of a river where the child would drown. So that's an indication that the mother is concerned about the child. If it's an illegitimate child, the mother wouldn't be considered about it. Wouldn't have any concern for that child. Remember, that the Gemara made a differentiation. So that's a Sufi. Here's a question. The Gemara discusses, and we have Yevomis and other locations, that Kusim, they were definitely original converts. So there's an argument, a Kusei Geri Emes or Geri Aroyos. When they converted because there was a situation where they felt their lives were in jeopardy. So were they sincere when they converted, or are they not sincere? So it's an argument. Geri Emes or Geri Aroyos. They converted because of the lions. The sect of non-Jews, they were attacked by lions, and their circumstance put the fear of Hashem into them. So if you converted, otherwise we're all going to be killed. So because it wasn't with a sincere intent, the quality, the value of the conversion didn't have any value enough. Okay? Well, it's not a conversion. Yes, we'll see. The Gemara discusses all this. Okay? So seemingly the Tanakamas is what? All that are not permitted to marry into the Kol are permitted to marry into one another. So the Gemara says it's totally redundant. This Mishnah in this parak. It says they're not permitted to marry into the Kol, but into marrying they can. Michael Asura Lova B'Kol. When the Tana begins the Mishnah, all those are not permitted to marry into the Kol, into the community. Ile Zeri Nesini Shtuki Vasufi. Oh, we're speaking about these classifications. The Mamzer, the Nosen, the Nesini, the child who's questioning what his pedigree is. The first Mishnah. The Mishnah says at the beginning of the parak, the Torah Lobos. That's the Mishnah says. These are classifications that are not permitted to marry into Klal Yisrael, but among themselves they could marry one another. So that's the opening statement of this Mishnah. And it's clear Rabbi Yehuda Nossi is not repeating himself. Especially, it's what is the continuation of the first Mishnah. That's the first question. Vesu, secondly, Rabbi Yehuda Oser. Rabbi Yehuda says it's not permitted. Now, what is Rabbi Yehuda speaking about? Ilem avadon bisveikon. Is he speaking about a body mamzer marrying a questionable mamzeris, which Tanakama says it's permitted because they're permitted to marry one another, right? What he's coming to argue with Bani Sefer, but the Mishnah concludes vadon muter. Vadom. Right? Mamzer is permitted to marry the Vadim Mamzer. Is not permitted to marry a definite Mamzer. Why? Because there's a chance that the questionable Mamzer may be a legitimate Jew. Wait. That's Rebbe Lezer saying that. So Rebbe Lezer says it's not permitted. So evidently, Rebbe Yehuda more stringent than Rebbe Lezer. It's not possible. We wonder. So we wonder what does he prohibit?
So are we saying that you can't divide is
possible?
Table?
That's not even discussion. Definitely, it's permitted. Definitely permitted.
Because that seems to be on the face of it. That's all they're arguing for that.
Right. So the only can't be that. Only be a suffix. The Tanakh says it's permitted. Reb Lezer says it's not permitted. So what's Reb Yehuda speaking about? Right. That's the question. What exactly is he speaking about? So we have two questions. The opening statement is redundant, right? Because that was stated already in the first Mishnah. Now, Reb Yehuda, when he says it's not permitted, what case is he speaking about?
Can't be right.
Nobody could disagree on that one. Okay? What? All. No, not an exception. All those are not permitted to marry into the kol are permitted to marry with one another. All of them, every one of them. As extreme as they may be, intermarrying among themselves are permitted. Kol is all-inclusive. All-inclusive. Whatever the legitimacy may be, it's not a problem. That's the Tanakama. Mechlal der Rebbe Yehuda l'svirle. So it's clear. It's clearly inferred from the Mishnah. Rebbe Yehuda's arguing Rebbe Lezer. So what is Rebbe Yehuda speaking about when he says it's not permitted? V'chitem Rebbe Yehuda oser ager b'mamzeres. Maybe he's saying there's a question: is a ger permitted to marry a mamzeres, a convert? We had earlier. Rebbe Yehuda's position is that what says that kal gerim is considered kal. So if a convert who converts, which there's no illegitimacy, he's considered a convert. So he's not permitted to marry a mamzer, right? Because lo yovok mamzer b'kal Hashem. So if the kal mamzers of the ger is called kal, so the mamzer is not permitted to marry the ger. Because he's kal Hashem. Because he's kal Hashem. He's part of the congregation of God. It says a mamzer is not permitted to marry kal Hashem. V'chit oser ager ben mamzeres. Maybe that's what he's. So the question is, the Mishnah starts. Not permitted in the kal, so it's not ger because what? A ger is permitted in the kal. So that's not, you can't say that's called asurim bekal. Correct? Let's make it clear. Right? When the Mishnah starts, all that are not permitted to marry into the kal, could that be referring to a ger? According to anybody. Everybody, a ger can marry any Jew, right? A ger is a kosher Jew. And the question is, could an illegitimate Jew marry a ger? But there's no question a ger can marry any Jew. Right? So that's the fear. How could he? Maybe Rabbi Yehuda says a ger b'mamzeres. When he says oser, a ger is not permitted. Tanakama says, but the Mishnah is not talking about ger, because what does the Mishnah start? All marry into the kal are permitted to marry one another. So who's not permitted to marry into the kal? Evidently, we're not speaking about a ger. So that's the question. The ger b'mamzeres katoni. Kol asur was permitted to marry. Oh, a ger is. So how do we understand Rabbi Yehuda? Oh, God. Not for Yehuda. No. But again, Rabbi Yehuda is making this statement in this Mishnah. It says all that are not permitted to kal are permitted to marry one another. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Okay? Now what is Rabbi Yehuda speaking about? He can't be saying what Rabbi Lezer is saying because he's arguing with Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer is the most stringent. So what is he saying? No, maybe he's speaking about a ger. A ger, he's saying a ger is not permitted to marry mamzeres. That's oser. Everybody else permits a ger to marry a mamzeres. Of course, it's not kal Hashem. Rabbi Yehuda says no, it is. Therefore, he's not permitted to marry. Again, what has nothing to do. Not Rabbi Yehuda. We're trying to understand how does Rabbi Yehuda fit into this Mishnah. What context is he discussing? When he says it's not permitted, it's forbidden. What is forbidden? In this context, what is he addressing? If he's again, let's. You know, we're speaking about cheesecake, and you say, what about shepherd's pie? We're talking about cheesecake. What does shepherd's pie have to do with cheesecake? I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about over here. You're going at something else. We're asking an elementary question just to understand the reading of the Mishnah. The Mishnah doesn't read well. Doesn't read at all. We're talking about asur bekol, and all the time we're talking about a ger. We're not discussing a ger. A ger is permitted b'kol. Nobody disagrees it's permitted b'kol. So therefore, it's an impossibility to say Reb Yehuda's, when he says Oser, is referring to the ger marrying a mamzer. It's not possible. Simple. Okay. Omer Rav Yehuda. So Reb Yehuda, who's the Amor, is coming to answer Rebbe Yehuda. Reb Yehuda is the Tana. Omer Reb Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, Hochi Komar. This is what the Mishnah means. Kol asurin lovo pakal kohuna. When it says kol asurin lovo pakal, doesn't mean kal Hashem. Mean marrying an ordinary Jew. Asur lovo pakal, it can't be the ger, correct? Because a ger is permitted to marry any Jew. All those that are not permitted to marry kal kohuna. No kuna. Now, if a woman takes on a defiled state, even a regular Jewish woman, she's been defiled, she's not permitted to a Kohen, because she's a Zona. A woman who's not a virgin is not permitted to marry a Kohen Gadol, right? She has to be a virgin, right? So when we deal with Kohanim, it's at a different level. Even though in terms of legitimacy, she's legitimate, but if she's defiled, she's not. Now, is a Kohen permitted to marry Gioris? Where she was less than 3 years old. She converted before she was 3. Howard ruled on this one. What? Okay? A Gioris, a child is converted before she's 3 years old. Wait a moment, 1 second. So therefore, the Gemara is, we have the Mishnah in, it's a Brisa in, it's a Mishnah in Yevamis and in Sanhedrin. If a man commit a child less than 3 is married off by her father, she's an Ish, correct? From the moment she's born, the father marries off his daughter, she's a married woman. If a man cohabits with the girl who's less than 3 years old, what is it? It's not considered an act of cohabitation. She has to be minimally 3 years old. So let's say she had relations. Somebody molested her before she was 3. That act of molestation is only molestation to be consider her a zona, defiled, only if it's considered an act of cohabitation. Before 3, it's not considered an act of cohabitation. So if she would convert before she's 3 years old, seemingly, she should be permitted to a Kohen. So is she a zona? Is she not a zona? It's machlos tanoim. Why? The question now, it's machlos tanoim. It's machlos shimi v'choy and the chachomim. She is a convert, but even though she's a convert, the question is, why is a convert not permitted to? Because she has the status of a defiled woman. She could have been defiled. Defiled means physically defiled. She has been defiled. We're considering she may have been defiled. Okay? Therefore, she's not permitted to go. So if that's the case, if she converted before she was 3, she definitely was not defiled. Wait, let's discuss it. That's what we're discussing now. Reb Shimei Yochai says a Giores who converts before she's 3 is permitted to a Kohen. Because the only reason is because she may have been molested. An act of cohabitation had taken place, but since before 3 it's not considered an act of cohabitation, she's permitted to a Kohen. That's Reb Shimei Yochai. The Chacham argues. Reb Yehuda argues with the Tanakama, Chacham argues with Shimei Yochai. A convert is considered defiled. Since this child initially was a Gentile and was converted, and she's not from being an original Jew or being born as a Jew, it's off limits to a Kohen. She has the status, not because of an act that's been done to her. She's considered not sufficient, pure enough to be eligible for a Kohen. And that's why, because we rule this way. But Reb Shimei Yochai argues. Reb Shimei Yochai differentiates. Less than 3, we can have it later in the Gemara, but this is what the Gemara discussed now. Less than 3, she's permitted to the Kohen. Conversion took place after 3, she's not permitted to the Kohen. So the Mishnah says, Kol Asur Lova B'Kahal, those who are not permitted to come to marry into the Kal Kuhuna. So we're talking about a ger. Okay? Mind you, what are we speaking about? Gioris Prusim B'Ashol L'Shonim B'Yom Echad. A Gioris, which is less than 3 years old. She's not permitted to marry a Kohen. Udelo Reb Shimei Yochai. And this is not the position of Reb Shimei Yochai. Mutar lo v'zeh v'zeh. but they're permitted to marry among themselves. I mean, she's a Gioris. Zone only has relevance to what? Only has relevance to a Kohen, to any other Jew. A woman, if she's a department, she's permitted to an ordinary Jew, okay, or to a Levi. Okay? So that's what it means. So on that review, Yehuda is saying, so the Tanakam is saying, they're permitted. Okay? So we're talking about a ger. The Mishnah starts off, Kol Asura Lovo Bekal. What are we speaking about? A ger. A ger was not permitted to marry Kal Kuhuna, even if she converts, she's less than 3. But she is permitted to marry a mamzer. Why? Because Kal ger is not a Kal. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, it's not permitted. Because Rabbi Yehuda, not to marry the mamzeres. She's not permitted to marry a mamzer. Tanakh says, Kal gerin not. Kohen not. But if she would want to marry a mamzer, she's permitted. Of course, the Tanakh is of the opinion, and that's the way we rule, that Kal gerim is not a Kal. But Rabbi Yehuda's position is, no, Kal gerim is a Kal. So we speak of the Yavam Mamzer Kal Hashem, even the ger is classified as Kal Hashem. So it's not permitted. Right? So that's the Mishnah. The Mishnah is, it's not redundant. When the Mishnah is Kol Psulim, Psulim doesn't mean Kal, ordinary Jews. Kal means Kal Kuna. So the ger was not permitted to marry Kal Kuna, but she's permitted to marry the Mamzer. Rabbi Yehuda says, I disagree. She's not permitted to marry the Mamzer. We had before. We had before. No. We had before. No, that's what we had earlier. It said 5 times Kal. It said Kal. Kal Kuhuna, Kal Levia, Kal Yisrael. Mark before discussed the Kal. Kuhuna is definitely called. They're called Kal. They are called Kal. Okay?
But is it also because he said that she can marry this less than 3-year-old?
No. The opening statement in the Mishnah is unrelated to whether ger can marry a mamzeres. But when it said, we had a problem. It seems to be the opening statement in the Mishnah is redundant. If kol psulim, lova bekal, are speaking about just illegitimate Jews, they're not permitted. So that's the opening Mishnah of Aser Yosef. So what's Rabbi Yehuda Nasi repeating himself? There's no reason. There's nothing. Kol asurim lova bekal. What are we speaking about? Kal means Kal Kuna. So who's not permitted to marry Kal Kuna? Right? A ger. What about a mamzer? What about all of them are not permitted? But we're introducing the ger, the gioris. The gioris is not permitted. Okay. But what about? Continue. What about zebozeh? What about the ger marrying mamzeres? Tanakam says that's permitted. Why? What does Tanakam say it's permitted? Because Kal gerim is not a Kal. It's not a Kal. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda says, no, I disagree. Osur. Because Kal gerim is Kal. Therefore, the Giores is not permitted to marry a mamzer. It's not a Kal Hashem. We have multiple Kal Hashems. Rabbi Yehuda says even ger is classified as Kal Hashem. And since it's Lo Yovo Mamzer Bekal Hashem, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the mamzer is not permitted to marry a ger or a Gioris. So we're saying the opening statement is what's more like the Chacham argue Reb Shimichoi. Shimichoi says even a girl who converted less than 3 is considered a defiled woman, even though physically she was never defiled. Doesn't make a difference. Chacham disagree. They say what? No, the Tanakam holds even though physically she was not Reb Shimichoi. No, less than 3 she's permitted. Now it's interesting. Now, how does a girl less than 3 become a Gioris? It's a little bit difficult. Wait. Tosis, we discussed in Ksubis, there's a question. How does, if you convert a minor to be a Jew, how do you convert a minor? The Mishnah says in Ksubis, Ger Koton Matbil al Das Bezdin. A minor Gentile, you tovel, you immerse him, you convert him based on the intent of the court. So the Gemara says in Ksubis that it's a schus to be a Jew. He says, although the child has no intelligence, when we speak intelligence, we're not talking about 12 or 13 years old. Now, when does a non-Jew become an adult? when you're able to discern between right and wrong. Yud Gimel or Yud Beis for a boy or a girl, that's halachah Sinai. As intelligent as a child is before 12 and certain as a Jew, the child's considered a minor. Why? Halachah Sinai. But for a non-Jew, when a child reaches an age of intelligence, which is considered 6 or 7 years old, it's considered you're able to understand at a minimal level, the child is considered an adult. And there's liability for that child if that child should violate any one of Shev Mitzvah Noach. Wait. Okay? So we're talking about a child that's less than that. So the child has no understanding, and the child's intelligence has no halachic value. So how do you convert a child less than 6 years old or less than 7 years old? The answer is because since it's considered meritorious to be a Jew, because we could say with certainty the child would want it. Therefore, when the child reaches 12 or 13, you offer the chance to the child either to accept it or reject it. If the child rejects it, retroactively, the child's not Jewish. If the child says, I want to be a Jew, then the child remains a Jew. Okay? And that's on a practical level. So Tosas asks a question. We say that what exactly is the inner workings of Zechira? We say, how when one person does an action, how is his action attributed to a third party? Right? I go to the store and I buy a gift. When I buy the gift, I buy it, have in mind, I'm buying it on behalf of Ruvain. When I purchase it, it's immediately Ruvain's. If later it's indicated Ruvain has an interest in that, it's Ruvain's gift. When my purchase, it was as if Ruvain purchased it. The answer is because it's shlichus. Something that's in the best interest of another person, the average person would want, he would want I should be his agent in that particular context. That's the concept of Zochar Lo Mishloim B'Fanav. Zechir mitam shlichus. One who is ochef for the third party is its agent. It's shlichus. So that's how Zechir works. So we have a number of problems. First, the ein Zechir l'koton, ein shlichus l'koton. A minor cannot have an agent. Secondly, a Gentile can't have an agent. Right? How could I be the agent, even if he be an adult? But factually, since he's a Gentile is not able to have an agent. Ein shlichus l'akum. The Xersa cause of shlichus is only among Jews. A non-Jew cannot be an agent. For a Jew, and a Jew cannot represent a Jew, a non-Jew. No, we don't. We only offer him choice to reject or accept. Does not have to undergo anything at the age of 13. You inform the child says, I'm interested, I'm not interested. And that will determine whether he is a Jew or not a Jew. Retroactively, the child would not be a Jew if the child he wants or he doesn't want. Yeah, but physically, he doesn't have to be immersed again, doesn't have to... Good, but it's retroactive. It's not from now. The agency took place when he was a minor. The agency took place when he was not a Jew. The court represented him as a non-Jew. Doesn't make a difference. But when did the court represent the child as an agent? So we have a double problem here. Firstly, he was a minor. Secondly, he wasn't Jewish. That's Tosas' question. That's Tosas' question. That's the problem. How do they step in? Right? So Tosas answers, says something phenomenal. Says, on a Torah level, the child's not Jewish. Not Jewish. A child who is converted by the court is not Jewish on a Torah level unless the conversion is done over again. Tosas. Wait. But do we require them to rabbinic? It's he's been a Jew for the rest of his life, but he has a problem. Although we say yesh kocham lakodover b'nator b'tasheva, we don't blow shofar Rosh Hashanah. That's only because you're violating the Torah passively. But to violate the Torah proactively. Ain't koch v'yochel the Torah. The Chacham would say you're permitted to eat non-kosher. They're not empowered to do that. So over here, if this man now was on the Torah level is not a Jew, if he should marry a Jewish woman, he's openly, actively violating the law of engaging with a Jewish woman. How's it permitted? But they're not empowered. That's Tosas' question. That's Tosas what he's addressed. He says they are empowered. They normally don't do it. This is one of the exceptions they do it. They are empowered by the Torah to do this. Under normal circumstances, they don't, but in this situation, they do. To override the Torah, even in a proactive state. Everything, even though on a Torah level he's not Jewish. You have a rabbinic Jew eating Korban Pesach. He's not a Torah Jew. I understand, but that's what Tosa says. But he doesn't say that. He doesn't. I hear that, but Tosa says it's not. That's the empowerment of the Chachamim. The Torah empowered the Chachamim that we recognize their conversion. If they say he's Jewish, we accept their conversion. It will never be. No, it's never resolved. Because even if he affirms what happened, he's still not Jewish. Because that's Tosas. No, but you still have to answer Tosas' question. You have to answer Tosas' question. See, a minor is the least of the question. But if he's not Jewish, a non-Jew cannot have an agent. So if he can't have an agent, how does the court represent him to bring about this conversion? Okay, but I'm just saying. So let's talk. If you say, let's say according to Tosas, you have a girl who converts, she's less than 3 years old. Now, how did the conversion take place? No, so again, so Reb Shimon Yochai and the Chacham are arguing when the Torah says a Gioris is not permitted to marry a Kohen. She's less than 3 years. Actually, she's not even Jewish. She's not even, on a Torah level, she's not even Jewish, this woman. No, at best it'll be rabbinical. He's marrying her now when she's 3 years old. She converted. Wait one second. She converted when she was 3 years old. Right? And now she becomes an adult. And she affirms what it is. On a Torah level, is she a Jew or not a Jew? So you have to say something. What is the argument? Reb Shimon Yochai is, what's the reason why if she's more than 3 years old, it's a problem? Because she may have been molested. She may have been molested. What about, let's say she's a rabbinic Jew. She's a rabbinic Jew. Because she lived and was bound by all the laws as if she was Jewish, the concern of molestation is not a concern any longer. So factually, she's definitely a virgin, and she's a virgin who was not defiled. So if that's the case, she's permitted to going. Factually, she wasn't Jewish. I mean, that's what you have to say according to Tosas. You have a case according to Shimon Yochai. She was not Jewish, and now she becomes an adult, and she converts. Let's say she'll convert again. She'll convert again. Now she's a full Jewess, because she converted. But until she converted as an adult, she definitely was not defiled, because she lived her life as a Jew. Therefore, she'll be permitted to coin, according to Shimon Yochai. Because factually, what disqualifies a convert from conversion? Defilement. Factually, physically, she was never defiled to be converted.